There is a Need for Speed game you probably don't know exists. It was sold in one country, dates all the way back to 1997, and there is no track record of reviews, sales figures, or anything of the sort. In 1994, EA published Road and Track Presents The Need for Speed for the Panasonic 3DO, otherwise known as the very first game in the franchise. It wasn't until 1996 that we would see it arrive on the failure that was the Sega Saturn and the rather more successful PlayStation 1. However, in Japan, things were a little different. Due to localization, the game was sold under the name Drivin DX, although as far as I'm aware, it didn't feature many other changes besides the title. However, behind the scenes, things were only just getting started. The game was selling rather well, and it was at this point that the Japanese car manufacturer Nissan decided it wanted a taste of the popularity, and so they got on the phone with EA. "Hello," he said, in Japanese, and proceeded to offer them a large sum of cash to produce a Nissan-sponsored version for both platforms. Essentially, they wanted to make a re-release of a Canadian-developed racing game from 1994 to then sell exclusively in Japan, which sounds rather confusing. However, in response to this, EA simply said, "Okay," in Japanese, and made a plan to reveal these games at the very first Tokyo Game Show in August later that year. With an expected attendance of over 100,000 people, it was the perfect place to reveal their brand new games. Even though they weren't exactly new and were in fact the exact same game they'd released 2 years ago but with slightly different content, which ironically sums up the new games quite well. EA would go on to reveal Nissan Presents Overdriven GTR for the Sega Saturn, and Nissan Presents Overdriven Skyline Memorial for the PlayStation 1. Both are pretty much identical, however GTR would release first and feature a range of Nissan cars, while Skyline Memorial would only feature Skylines, in case the name wasn't obvious enough. Of course, after stumbling across these games, they immediately piqued my interest, and I proceeded to spend countless hours of my life that I will never get back, attempting to get my hands on one for myself. I even clicked on page 2 of Google, so you know this was serious business. Eventually though, after great difficulty, I managed to get my hands on one, and so I could finally experience just what I've been missing out on. Before we do that, however, if you have enjoyed the video so far, then please do hit the like button and subscribe if you want to support the channel. The YouTube algorithm is a very confusing one. However, it appears to like videos with lots of interaction on them. So go comment something, I guess. No, seriously, I actually believe that comments do more for the algorithm nowadays than likes or dislikes do. We live in a strange timeline. Anyway, let's stop talking about YouTube and turn our attentions to Skyline Memorial. That might just be the most 90s intro to a video game I have ever seen, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't amazing at the same time. In the main menu, we have 1 player, 2 player, records, and options. The soundtrack for this game is actually very good. However, it is worth noting that one of the shuffle options is, this? The memory card menu sometimes gets angry and throws a load of Japanese on the screen. I do not speak Japanese, however I'm sure it's all very interesting. Jumping into single player, there is time trial, head-to-head, single race, and tournament. As far as I know, the tournament will take you across every track in the game and will unlock a secret car after completing it. Head-to-head is a 1v1 race, and single race puts the player against 5 AI opponents. There aren't too many tracks to choose from, however they're all very different, even including point-to-point sprint races and time of day options. The car list features every Skyline from the S54B all the way up to the R33 GTR. There is no R34 because it's 1997. And there was no R34. Each car in the game has their own showcase video. They're roughly 60 seconds long and feature details about the car accompanied by a Japanese voiceover.
60年代の国内サーキットを席巻したスカイライン 2000GTB の後継モデルとして登場したのが GTR。I
find this feature to be quite a good idea, in the way that you can sit back and watch a short video before you get to drive the car for yourself. It's certainly not something we'd see in any modern racing games by any means, but it's definitely a feature that surprised me about this one. Another nice detail worth noting is the fact that each car comes with their own dedicated loading screens, comprised of screenshots taken from the aforementioned showcase videos. Jumping into the first event, and there's already a lot to talk about. First of all, yes, the car does look like it's made out of cardboard. However, remember, this is a game from 1994, although do bear in mind I have upscaled this through emulation, and so it does look a little bit smoother than the original. What's even more impressive for 1994, however, is the fact it has a first-person camera, which is something even the modern Need for Speed games don't have, and certainly not any other game from this time period. Yes, it has less pixels than a Microsoft Paint drawing, but you get the idea. The physics are rather simplistic, but more importantly, they're enjoyable. Sometimes. Game design, isn't it great? After you finish an event, you can choose the highlights option to view the replay. For me, this feature is incredibly buggy, however it may just be the result of playing it through an emulator, although the confusing controls don't exactly help.
Congratulations! You've just beat the best time for this segment.
Oh yeah, you have to enter your name every time you beat something. Remember the secret car I mentioned before? Well, that car in question is a Nissan R390. It has no stats available, no car showcase, and the image used is just a real-life picture of the car. However, if you try to use it, you're not allowed. This is because you have to beat the tournament mode in order to unlock the password. The password in question, and I'm not making this up, is PPP. And to prove that I'm not making this up, here we are, we can now drive the car. Although once you do drive it, you've pretty much automatically won the race. Until that happens. Of course, this kind of takes the fun out of things, but I can imagine it was very exciting for any kid that played this at the time. However, that's really all there is to say about Overdriven Skyline Memorial. Even though these games were very clearly just a marketing ploy by Nissan, there's just something rather charming about them that I can't quite describe. Although I suppose as a Skyline owner myself, I am rather biased. Nevertheless, it is a very special piece of racing game history that most of us never even knew existed. But you do now, and so I rest my case. Thank you all so much for watching. Normally video games like this I don't tend to make videos on, mostly because it's hard to script a 10-minute video on them whenever there's not really a lot to talk about. However, I thought this one was interesting enough to make an exception, so I hope you enjoyed. That being said, I apologize for not having uploaded a video for the past several weeks. My motivation for YouTube has been incredibly low, and I just generally haven't been feeling that great. But I hope that making this video will help get things going again. Lastly, if you have any interesting racing game related topics that you would like me to cover, then please do let me know in the comments. I pretty much read every comment I get, because that's what content creators do whenever they upload once every rotation of the sun. Anyway, thank you again for watching, remember to leave a like before you go, and I'll see you in the next one.